All right, we are back with part 2 of Module 12 review, and now we're going to be going over Lesson 3 in Module 12. Lesson 3 had to deal with distance on a coordinate plane. So you're given 2 points on a coordinate plane, and you have to figure out the distance from one point to the other. And to find the distance between 2 points, you really just want to subtract so that you can find the difference between those 2 values. Question number 9 wants to know the vertical distance between points A and B. Well, vertical distance means that there is a shift in the y-axis, okay? Your y value is going to change, but you're staying at the same spot on the x-axis. So there's no horizontal distance, it's just a vertical distance. Now, if you're given the grid, you can count to find the distance. You just have to watch out for your increments here, because notice that these go up by increments of 2. So from A to B, this is point B, from here to here is 2, from here to here is 4, 6, and then point B is halfway between -2 and -4, so it's only 1 more increment down. So we had 2, 4, 6, 7 to get from point A to point B. But you really want to be careful doing that. So I'm going to show you how to do it, taking the actual coordinate points and subtracting. So for coordinate A, we were at -2, 4. And then for point B, we are at still -2, but our y value is -3. So we're not interested in this x coordinate. There is no horizontal change, it's a vertical change. That's why it's a vertical distance. So we're going to look at the distance between 4 and -3, and to do that we're just going to subtract. So 4 minus a -3. And what happens when we subtract a negative? It's the same thing as adding the opposite. So this is really 4 plus 3, which is 7. That's the exact same answer that we got by counting on the grid. But it's safer this way, okay? Now, what if you don't have a grid? Well, now we know what to do. What's the distance between the points -12, -5, and -12, 7? Notice it doesn't specify vertical distance or horizontal distance. You can figure that out by looking at the fact that the x-coordinates didn't change. So if the x-coordinates didn't change, then we're talking about a vertical distance. The y-coordinates, -5 and 7. We just want to subtract again. We're going to say -5 minus 7. A -5 minus 7 equals -12. But be careful, because distance can never be negative. We will be taking the absolute value to find our distance. I will never be -12 feet away from you. I could be 12 feet away from you to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north, above you, below you, but never -12 feet from you. So it's just a distance of 12. What is the distance between the points -10, 9 and -2, 9? Well, in this case, the y values didn't change. So we're talking about a horizontal distance on the x-axis between -2 and -8. So -10 and -2. I just gave the answer away. -10 minus a -2. Okay. When we subtract a negative, we are adding the opposite. So we are starting at -10 on a number line, and we are adding 2, moving to the right. This puts us at -8. But again, distance has to be positive, so we take the absolute value, and that gives us 8 units. Number 12. Number 12 says Miss Miller shops at 2 different grocery stores. The locations of her home and the stores are shown in the table. Which grocery store is a shorter distance from Miss Miller's home? Okay, so we've got Winn-Dixie and Hitchcock's. We're going to compare one at a time, the distance, okay, so that we can fill in this information. So we're looking at Miss Miller's home, and then we're looking at Winn-Dixie. Notice that negative 1.75 and negative 1.75, the x-coordinates are the same. So this is not, Miss Miller's home is not located horizontally away from from Winn-Dixie. It's a vertical distance, and it's the distance between negative 2 and 0.5. So we're just going to subtract negative 2 minus 0.5. That's going to give us negative 2.5. We want the absolute value of that, so 2.5 units away. Miss Miller's home to Hitchcock's grocery. Well, this time, comparing these two, look, the y values are the same. So there's no difference in the vertical distance on a coordinate grid. It's a difference of horizontal distance. So we have a negative 1.75 minus a negative 2.25. Subtracting a negative is adding an opposite. So we're really finding the difference here. And the sign is going to be positive because the larger number is positive. And this is a difference of 0.5 units. Okay? So to answer the question, which one is a shorter distance from Miss Miller's home? It would be Hitchcock's. I'm just going to write that because it is 0.5 units and the other one is 2.5 units. All right, now we're moving into lesson 4. And there's an easy part of lesson 4 and a complicated part of lesson 4. And the easy part has to do with vertices. So a vertices is just a corner. If we have a square or a rectangle, has 4 corners, each one of these corners is called a vertices. And if they're listed in order, they're called consecutive vertices. So let's just label this rectangle. It says rectangle DEFG has consecutive vertices. Let's just go ahead and label this D, E, F, G. I have to label it in order because it says consecutive. All right. I am told this coordinate and this coordinate and this coordinate, but I have to find G. This is find the coordinates of vertex G. This is super easy. If you stack these the way that they're given to you, negative 4, comma 2, and then E, 5, comma 2, and then F, 5, comma negative 8, they're all going to overlap. They're going to have something in common, okay? So what I want you to do is just stack them and then look at what they have in common. D and E have a y coordinate in common. E and F have the x coordinate in common. What's left over? X of negative 4 and a y of negative 8. Guess what? That is the coordinates for G. So negative 4, negative 8. This works every single time. You just have to stack them and cross out what they have in common. And whatever's left over, just make sure that you take that first coordinate, that's your x, and that second coordinate is your y. Make sure that you're looking at the position of those. Okay? All right, I'm going to do a third video for the rest of the questions on the back.